did not turn out the way I had hoped. It's the same thing. Hey folks, this is Rob Baker. I am the KCC. I am the Kilted Craftsman. Welcome back to Stone Circle Creations. And you know what? It's time to make time. I don't have a lot of money this year, and I'm fairly sure a lot of you don't either. So I'm going to see if I can make some Christmas gifts. I have found that using some junk wood, you can come up with some pretty brilliant ideas. Well, I think they're brilliant, but I'm biased. Let's take a look at what we got here out in the shop today. I was at Gentleman's Wood Shop a couple of months ago, and he had some junk wood sitting around. Looked like this. He was doing some live edge work. He ran a miller, so he would take logs and he would actually cut live edge pieces of wood just from the logs. Now, a lot of times if you have one of these in your neighborhood or in your hometown or anything similar to them, you can get offcuts and cast-offs. Those are pieces of wood that they have absolutely no use for, and you could turn around, maybe pick them up for a song, maybe pick them up even for free. That'd be nice. It's one of the ways that you can get material for craft projects without having to spend a lot or any money at all. Another way you can actually get wood for free, if you take a look up on my secondary camera, dink, I have some 4x4s here that are just god-awful. Let me set this down a minute. That's not a popular view you had of me there, sorry about that. You get some junky wood like this off of a neat little website or neat little phone app called OfferUp, and it's in the free wood search. It is amazing the stuff that you can find when you just type in free wood. People are throwing away pallets, which actually have some fantastic wood attached to them. People are throwing away branches, as you saw in one of my other videos. Sometimes they're throwing away entire trees. There are ways you can get wood for projects that will not cost you a lot of money. And if you're creative with it, you can actually come up with some really neat ideas. So let's get into a couple of things that we want to work with today. Give me half a moment. First of all, here's part of the project. Part of the project is going to be this little item right here. I picked it up for about $15 over at Michael's craft store, and it is basically, it's a clock face. Well, not a face, it doesn't have the numbers, but it does have the minute hand, the hour hand, and the second hand at about 3/4 of an inch long. So this is the block that I'm going to be using today. It's a very simple block. It's got a pretty live edge cut. It's thick. It's about 2 inches thick. So this isn't going to be a wall hanging clock. This is actually going to be a mantle clock that sits just like that on a mantle or a shelf. That's all it's going to do. Now, I've already sketched out a design because, like I said, we're going to make time today. I'm going to do an hourglass. We're going to do some sand with the resin. We're going to make this look kind of neat, kind of pretty. We're going to use various items that I've picked up, again, from Michael's. I love that store. They have some great items and some great prices, and I can't find the bag that I just had. There it is. You'll have to pardon me. As you saw in my video log that I posted, I have rearranged my shop, and I'm still getting used to how I have it set up. You would think, being the person who rearranged it, it wouldn't take me long to get used to something, but it does, because I'm kind of special. Ah, you could say that again, Rocky. Some of the items that I'm going to be using in this one is I'm going to have some plastic gear wheels that I'm going to resin into this project, into the hourglass, to make it, give it kind of the illusion of a working clock in the background and have the clock face over it. It's not complicated. It just takes a little bit of time, a little bit of effort. Now, we are doing this on a budget, guys. I have a lot of the equipment already. I have my miter saw. That helps make my cuts, but you don't need a miter saw. If you've got a skill saw, that'll work just as well. If you've got a hand saw and a clamp or 3, that will take a little bit longer, but it'll still work. I've got my router that I bought. As a matter of fact, let's see, here's the prices I spent on the equipment that I'm going to be using today. Here, a lot of this is out of Harbor Freight. Don't mock it, don't knock it till you try it. Some of their equipment is actually pretty good. Okay, first thing we're gonna get into is my Drill Master router. I only spent $33 on it, and if you can go in with a coupon, you're doing better. It's a small router. It doesn't take much. It isn't much. It doesn't look like much, but with a little bit of a modification to the faceplate you have on it, you can actually turn it into a real router with better control that'll cover open gaps. I'll get into this in a few, okay? So, $33 for the router. Now I have 2 packets of router bits. The first one's a straight set. It just has 3 router bits, okay? They're all straight, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch. They're good for cleaning out a lot of material in a short amount of time. Okay, that only cost me, and I am referencing this because I printed them off. That one, sorry, that's my drill bit set. That cost me $16. Again, a good thing, a good buy. My carbide set cost me $10. So we're up to $45, yes? Doing the math? Yep, $45. And then I got another set that's multi-tools. Okay, so the other one's going to be, again, Warrior. That's their brand. I don't know why they call it Warrior, other than when you actually complete a project, you feel like you fought through a war. Some of this stuff is not the best quality, guys. You actually have to work with it. You have to sharpen it a bit. It's a little difficult to work with from time to time. So be advised, you're not paying for top quality. You're paying for something you can use right now until you get a better product. So this router bit set only cost me $8. Now with a 25% off coupon, we're looking at $50, 25% off. That's a nice deal. That's $12 off. I'm going to show you how to make a bench out of this right here. It's 2 Sawhorses. It's really easy. All you need is a thick piece of wood. An old IKEA cabinet or an old cabinet that you found on OfferUp under the free wood search will help, because that's all I use right now. I'm no longer using my actual IKEA cabinet where I would set up my pouring station and where I would set up my lathe. Now I'm using just these 2 Sawhorses, and I'm gonna make a working workbench. So let's get started. We're gonna take this, we're gonna cut it down to size, we're gonna ground it out, and we're gonna make something pretty. Let's make some time. Thank you for joining me over here on Stone Circle Creations. Let's have some fun, okay? Get your Sawhorses out, set them up, and you get to adjust the height the way you want it. Set this thing up so I have workspace, and if you look at the way this is set, that's actually rather nice. Now I have a nice sturdy space. Yeah, this isn't too sturdy, is it? Let's fix that. Now, what does this give us? This gives us workspace. But what's real neat about this is if you get a moderately decent set of sawhorses, if you take a look at the little bubble, you'll see I have almost perfectly level workspace. And when you're pouring resin, you want a nice spot to work. This does the trick. So now I've got a workbench, fairly sturdy. Put pressure on it, yeah, it bows a little bit. If you don't feel comfortable with that, run a couple of 2x4s underneath it. You know, there's nothing wrong with reinforcing this. This will work for what I need to use it for right now. But this also, with my stool, gives me a good working height. I can work around it. I can clamp my project to the table right in front of me and work with it. One of the problems that I have found with this particular router, and it's not really a problem, that it's a little, and I do mean a little bit of an inconvenience. Two. One is the size of this. Now, I am unplugged, so you know, before I do anything, safety first. You saw my glasses and my face shield come off earlier, and that's because dummy here, or my glasses and my safety glasses come off because dummy here decided to pull his mask down and blow the sawdust away and proceeded to catch it in the loop, blow it back under my safety goggles, under my glasses, and into my eyes. And apparently there's a bus outside. But here is the problem that I have, a couple of minor problems. If you can see from right here where my finger is, you can see that it's gotten deeper because this thing shifts. Okay, this locking mechanism is not the best. So I'm gonna have to go through and re-groove this or take a chisel and clean this up. Neither is really a heartache. That's an easy fix. The problem that I have with this, however, is if I go to clean it up, you'll see this thing just rocks because it doesn't cover the material. Now this really is not a problem, as some people on the website would make it out to be. It's a very simple fix. And that simple fix, pardon me while I do this, is to take a piece of wood and drill a very large hole in it, and 4 separate holes. The large hole with a little bit cut out matches the little keyhole here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to remove this faceplate. Here is I have an operational router and I have the control here on the hand. So I'm going to build handles for this eventually, but for right now this will do because all of my control is right here, and no matter where I'm at on the wood, I am not tipping to one side or the other because I'm falling into a hole. So we'll go ahead and clamp this back down. I'll turn my music back on, mute you so I can get your background music going, and we'll get back to work. This is a quick patch to fix things. This takes a $35 router and turns it into an $80 router with a piece of scrap wood. As you can tell by this project, it was fairly simple. The only thing that was time consuming about this project was actually the resin pour. You know, that actually took a total of 2-3 days to get the entire resin pour done and sanded down and cleaned up. Before I get into the reveal, I'd like to thank Todd Langford over at Chequest Millworks. He's a gentleman who sold me the wood and gave me some of his offcuts that he was going to throw away. I'm going to leave a picture of his card down below. Actually, I'm going to add this in. You'll see it flash in the video itself, but I'm also going to leave a link to his Facebook page down below. He does some beautiful work over there. And if you're in the Phoenix area and you're looking for live edge wood, I could not recommend this gentleman more. He is very, very, he's a decent human being, and you don't find many of those these days, especially in business. So I really appreciate him. Mr. Langford, if you're watching this, thank you very much. So, let's take a look at our finished product here. We've got the back of the wood. You can see where the oil that I use, which Howard Feed and Wax, it's an orange oil and beeswax combination. I actually love this stuff. It's good for making staves, walking sticks. If you don't want a glossy finish to your wood, but you want something that will protect your wood, this is actually very, very good to have. Not to mention, it smells absolutely fantastic. Something else about the wood that I used, I didn't use a finish at all. All I did was something called it's called walrus wax. And basically it's for chopping blocks. It's a chopping block wax. I wanted to seal this wood up. I didn't want to lacquer it or varnish it. I wanted to maintain that nice natural color. I used the Feed and Wax and the Butcher Block wax only because I didn't want anything else on this. We have a nice clean finish on the wood. It's not glossy, it's not shiny, it's just very, very natural. Now, the nice thing about this is it has a little bit of a hidden surprise, but for that I'm actually going to have to pause the video for a moment and set this up. Alright, now the way I've set this up obviously is it is in the dark, and I have a good reason for that. Using UV light on the sand and on the resin itself gives you an idea of what this will look like when the lights are turned out at night. It gives a really nice afterglow. You can actually see the octopus down in the bottom, and you can still see the gears up on top. So as you can see by this design, there are a lot of things that you can do with the wood. There are a lot of different designs that you can etch into the wood, different clock faces that you can make, different woods, different finishes. It's actually entirely up to you. One of the things that I plan on doing in the near future is creating more of these different designs, some that are actually able to be held up on the wall, some that are smaller blocks, a little more durable and less likely to be knocked down. That's just out of this larger block of wood. I'm also planning on using actual resin molds for clock faces, saw blades for clock faces, different types that I'm going to be selling online for Etsy. If you have any ideas or any requests, let me know. Leave a comment down below. I really appreciate the fact that you stuck around this long to watch this video. If you have any comments, please leave them in the comment section down below. If you would be so kind, hit that like button if you enjoyed what you saw. And if you want to see more from me, hit that subscribe button down below and ring that bell. It's a rough world out there, so do me a favor. Be kind to each other, take care of each other. In the words, two goofy guys, be excellent to each other. This is Rob Baker, I am KCC, Celtic Craftsman. Creations.